Do you get life insurance through your employer? Is it enough coverage? Is it the right type of coverage for you? By the end of this video, you're going to have a couple things to think about to make sure that if you are getting this bonus, this reward from your work, that it is right for you and you know how it fits into your financial plan. My name is Jake Williams, and I'm a life insurance specialist with Step Up Wealth Management. For more information on life insurance, financial planning, and how all of those fit together, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. That way you find out immediately anytime I upload a new video and you never miss one. So a lot of employers will offer life insurance coverage as an incentive, as a bonus, as a perk for working with that employer. And that can be a great thing. I've helped a couple of companies set those kinds of things up. But for you as an individual, you need to be aware of what you're getting and what it means, because some people might have some misconceptions on there, and you want to be aware of what you've got. The first thing to think about is it enough coverage? A lot of these coverages, a lot of the types of policies that you get from your employer might be just a standard set amount. It might be $25,000 or $50,000. It might be a multiple of your salary. It might be 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. But as I've talked about in some of my other videos, is that coverage alone going to be enough? If something were to happen, would your family be able to cover all of the things that they needed with just that policy from your employer? I'm not saying they couldn't, but a lot of the ones that I've seen aren't necessarily enough for an individual. So that's thing number one, is it enough coverage? Another thing to think about is what happens if you're no longer working there? What if you retire? What if you go somewhere else? What happens to that coverage? Most of the life insurances that are offered by an employer are tied to that employer. So you've only got that coverage while you work for that employer. If you leave for another job, if you retire, if you decide to go become self-employed doing whatever it is that you do, that coverage goes away. So that is another thing for you as the individual to be aware of in terms of employer provided life insurance. There are some nice bonuses to it. A lot of times it's something that's not out of your pocket. Now, it may be tied to parts of your salary or whatever, but it's not something where you see that money come out of your pocket every month or every paycheck, whenever you get paid. So that is nice. That is a bonus, is you have this coverage where it doesn't, at the very least, it doesn't feel like you're paying for it because it might be taken off the top before you ever see it. But that is a very nice thing to have, is that extra little coverage. And it's something to be aware of when you sit down with a professional to determine how much coverage you need. If you are getting some coverage for work, you might be able to factor that into the amount that you end up purchasing and figure out how much you need. And you might be able to take off all or part of what would be covered by your employer's coverage. You don't want to rely on it because, like I said, a lot of them are tied to the employer, but it's something to take into account. But really, it's about what is right for you. So if you're a single individual, you don't have a lot of debt, you don't have anybody else that's relying on you, that might be enough, because that coverage could be enough to pay for a burial if something were to happen, and that's all you would need to worry about. But if you've got family, if you've got debt, if you've got other expenses that need covered, you really need to sit down and think, is the coverage that is being provided by my employer enough to cover all of the things that I need? If the answer is yes, are you going to stay with that employer? Do you plan on being there long enough? And do you trust that employer to keep you there long enough that if something were to happen, that coverage would then become useful? Or could you possibly be going somewhere else in the future? Or moving out on your own, or whatever. If that's the case, you might need to look into getting some more coverage on your own, where you sit down with a professional and you figure out how much you need, not how much the employer wants to give you, how much you need, how much you can afford, and you make sure you're taken care of. If you've got any questions on employer provided life insurance, drop me a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. And if it's a question that I'm able to answer, I'd love to help you. Maybe I turn it into a video, maybe I just answer you in the comment, but whatever. Drop me a comment, we'll see. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. It helps YouTube know that I'm giving you guys the information that you're looking for, and it lets me know that I'm doing what you guys want to hear as well. But most importantly, if you want to sit down with me to figure out how much coverage you need to take care of your life in your situation, there is a link in the description below where you can apply to become my client. Check it out and we will sit down. We will find a time where you and I can meet and we will figure out what is right for you in your individual unique situation. I hope to hear from some of you guys soon, but in the meantime, please take care of your now, your future, and beyond.